I broke through the carbonate, that's how I got free. Drop it back off because there's no stopping me. Postmodern player, sample-tastic, flows frastic. I get drastic, hey, watch the plastic. Yo, I name check and leave you drastic.
Welcome to the MacGuffin, episode 158. I'm Spencer.
I'm Greg.
Today we're talking about Ridley Scott.
Yes.
In honor of some little film he has coming out, Prometheus.
Yes, I believe it's called. That's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Is that correct? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the top 5 most anticipated films of the year. Kind of a big deal in some circles.
Yeah.
But in honor of that, we decided we'd talk about Ridley Scott. Kind of had an interesting career.
Why wouldn't we? I mean, if we have a chance to talk about Ridley Scott, why wouldn't we?
I guess, he's alright. What else? He's done a few films along the way. We're going to go back a ways, a little bit more than 30 years, believe it or not, to Alien in 1979.
That's right. Alien.
that other sci-fi kind of thing. This is a story of a group of scientists on a vessel who are, was it mining? Is it a mining ship?
So. Yeah.
That discovers an SOS, lands on a planet, picks up some cargo, so to speak, go on their way, and unfortunately some of that turns out to be a little alien who is not so nice.
No, it's not so happy with other living things.
Yeah. It's got the classic chest-popping scene.
Yep.
If you've seen, was it Spaceballs or any number of things?
Who's that actor? Is it John Hurt? No.
Yes, John Hurt.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I always get him and this...
Harry Dean Stanton?
No. Name-wise, I always get him and William Hurt mixed up.
Oh, very different. Yeah, this is John Hurt.
Very different. So I always worry when I say one, I'm
No, you got it right.
Yes.
Should note, the writer of this is Dan O'Bannon, who is also the director of Return of the Living Dead, one of the more popular zombie films. This is such a great... I mean, this is the... what's it called? Sigourney Weaver breakout performance. Sort of one of the signature female lead badass action stars. Probably the... I mean, I can't think of a more famous one.
She's probably one of the more well-rounded female heroic heroes. Yeah,
I mean, Ripley. I mean, can you think of any bigger ones off the top of your head? I mean, Ripley.
I can't.
Ripley has been a character who I guess went on for at least 20 years, and it's sort of funny. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Prometheus. They've speculate originally was sort of connected to the Alien franchise. How connected it is at this point is unclear.
Especially, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that later. But I mean, Alien itself, this is another one of those series like Terminator where it's evolved so much over the course of the series.
It's also the beginning of the H.R. Geiger art into movies. I mean, that changed.
Which he won a visual effects Oscar for this
totally deserved. Totally a visual style that is used and copied and paid tribute to so much.
And it's interesting to think about, because this film was nominated for 2 Academy Awards for art direction and visual effects, and it was nominated for a bunch of other ones. I think it got nominated for 8 BAFTAs and stuff like that. Strangely enough, Ridley Scott was only nominated for 1 award, and that was for the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. That was the only one of every single award that Alien was nominated for that Ridley Scott was nominated for, which is very strange because the dude clearly...
It's the scariest one. I mean, he did a great job at directing.
It was also, I mean, much like, Terminator versus Terminator 2, this was much more sort of a horror film thriller, whereas Aliens is much more of an action film.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, it's definitely the most scary of it. This wasn't the one that pioneered that whole in space, nobody can hear you scream thing, is it?
I think so.
So it's definitely one that sort of typified it, if not. And
this was the whole horror of you're stuck in a spaceship that you can't go outside because it's space.
You can't escape. It's you don't know what's attacking you. It's
your whole life support system is so frail, and something very small could kill everybody just cause.
Yeah, I mean, and just they're in an environment where they don't know what's going on. I mean, you're venturing out into darkness basically, and it's hunting a creature you don't know what you're hunting. So it's a great concept. It's basically a horror film in space. Basically, it's like a cabin in space, Cabin in the Woods if we're in space.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm for it.
Yeah. He continued on the sci-fi role there, though, with Blade Runner in 1982, the greatest year of all. Just, it's also my birth year,
I know.
So
I know.
a few other good things.
It's all right.
Yeah. This is based upon the Philip K. Dick novel of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yep.
Harmony, stereo.
The beginnings of the cyberpunk movement.
Yes. Harrison Ford was the star of this film.
Oh, man, was he ever.
And it's kind of funny
Sean Young?
to think... Yeah, Sean Young when she was like a sex symbol. Along with
and Daryl Hannah when she was also a sex symbol.
It's
and
kinda-
Rutger Hauer when he was a sex symbol.
And Edward James Olmos when he was a sex symbol. And Emma Walsh when he was a sex symbol.
Oh.
Anyway, it's kind of funny to think about this film being essentially a loser at the box office.
That's
when
so
you have
crazy.
Ridley Scott essentially coming off of Alien and Harrison Ford during the thick of Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Doing an adventure with like androids.
Yeah.
Or robots.
Yeah.
Like it's
replicants.
same thing, isn't it, really?
I'm just using the term they use in the movie.
Yes. But this, like, I mean, it's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's a dude.
It's like a noir detective story in the future.
A dude who's basically searching for these robots who've escaped. They've escaped from they hijack a ship in space and return to Earth seeking their maker.
That's right.
And it's essentially the whole movie is trying to figure out who are the replicants. And it's really, I mean, very dramatic and exciting to try and figure that out because it's both a mystery and an adventure in one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Harrison Ford is one of the most badass actors.
And, I mean, talk about a movie that was talked about a long time after it was made, because what was it, not till, like, the mid or late 90s that Ridley Scott came out and answered the question of whether or not Deckard was a replicant or not.
Right, which is who Harrison Ford was playing.
Yes, Harrison Ford's character, because depending on the director's cut or not, there were certain scenes that implied or did not imply that he was a replicant or a human, so... And that was one of those things I remember, like, for 10, 15 years afterwards, people were still talking about
totally.
that.
I mean, it's and Philip K. Dick is one of the most influential sci-fi writers in, like, the last, I don't know, 50 years or whatever, 30 years.
As far as to cinema, definitely.
Yes.
I don't know about in writing. I mean, he's definitely up there, but I don't know about...
But it's just sort of funny that this film hasn't popped bigger. I mean, I guess it's timely since Ridley Scott said he's going to do another Blade Runner.
Official sequels now being worked on.
He said, though, that a female is going to be the lead in the movie.
He wants Harrison Ford to be in it.
Right, a smaller part, but he wants a female protagonist for this film, which is interesting. I don't know how I feel necessarily about that. I feel like it's sort of one of those fan grabs. But at the same time, Harrison Ford is like 70 years old at this point. Like I don't know how you can put him back in a meaningful way.
Yeah, hopefully just to be almost cameo style.
But like he's literally 30 years older than he was in the original. Unless you sort of dramatically change what your storyline is or when the time period is or something like that, it really feels like it'll be tangentially connected to Blade Runner.
I generally was kind of like, why is this even necessary? But then someone properly pointed out to me, until I see Prometheus and know how Prometheus is, I can't really judge it, because if it was the same thing with Prometheus when it was like, oh, another that Alien prequel that he's been talking about forever is going to finally come out, and it was like, why bother? But it looks amazing, so who knows what. I was sort of of the mindset of like, why is he doing this? But then they were like, oh yeah, he made Alien and Blade Runner. I was like, oh yeah, those previous two sci-fi films he did pretty well. So I was like, okay, and if Prometheus keeps that trend up, I'll be like, go ahead with Blade Runner 2. Like, so I'll wait till I see some production stills on it to worry.
I'm curious. One of the more sort of interesting ones, and Ridley Scott doesn't get enough credit for the diversity of his career. This is much like what I've complaining about Wes Anderson doing forever.
Yes.
He went to a fantasy realm and did Legend.
Love it. I'm so sad I should have thought about it and wore my Legend shirt today.
Yeah. You got Harrison Ford on there,
That's true.
But not from
I'm representing
Blade Runner.
At least one of the people involved. But still, I have a Legend shirt. I should.
Fail. This is a young man was stopped the Dark Lord from both destroying daylight and marrying his fiance. Was it fiance? Marrying the woman he loved.
I think the only the second Tom Cruise movie I own.
Really? What's the other one?
Magnolia, which
not Top Gun.
No.
I love Top Gun. Top Gun's great. Tom Cruise is underrated. Okay.
Either way, I love this movie a lot. It's a great.
Why for art thou loveth this film so much?
Well, it's a great.
To get Shakespearean on you.
It's a great fantasy story. It's a great kind of archetypal story with a hero battling evil. It has probably one of the coolest looking villains of if you're ever going to make like a devil character.
Yeah,
Tim Curry.
I have this weird sort of feeling about Tim Curry. Like, Tim Curry is kind of quirky, but he's sometimes too quirky for me. And it's funny because he has the same birthday as me.
Is this one of those instances where he's too quirky for you?
He's borderline too quirky for me, but I'll tell you what I have a bigger issue with. Not that this film is bad, but I have this film and Labyrinth so intertwined in my mind in terms of, like...
I see. What happens and what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like both of them, but like it's sort of so like I don't know why I associate the two of them so closely together. I think both of them being in the 80s, both of them sort of like, you know, being because
they're very different stories.
They are very different stories, but they have that sort of like signature villain with Bowie and Labyrinth, and like, you know, I mean, they're both sort of adventure-y, kind of questy type films.
I can kind of see it, but they're very different.
They're very different. One has like a female lead, one has a male lead.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is really interesting about this movie, outside of just, you know, it's kind of a simple story. You have a girl who brings about permanent winter. Yeah, brings. I think so. Yeah, it's her name from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah,
from Legend. Yeah, brings kind of about a permanent winter on a magical land because of her own errors, and then kind of this hero who has to rescue her from it, played by Tom Cruise. But one of the things that's interesting about this movie is that, again, it's one of those weird situations with like Ridley Scott with Blade Runner, with director's cut, or Alien had a director's cut, where originally this had an orchestra score, and it made it a very moving kind of thing that you were watching. When it hit theaters, they scrapped that whole score and got the band Tangerine Dream to do the entire soundtrack, which gives it a very weird early 80s, late 70s feel to it that I know a lot of people who like it for that reason alone, but there's, again, the director's cut that's out weird, that has the original score. I had always seen the Tangerine Dream one. I was like, this movie's okay. And then I saw the original score, and it was a completely different movie. It impacted me in a different way. It was more about, like, actual good versus evil and these bigger things, rather than, like, oh, look, 80s music and people that look like fairies dancing around in the light, like, and unicorns. Like, it's a different tone.
It is. And to do fantasy, very different from sci-fi. So that's very interesting.
Great choice on his part.
Now, Greg wants to be Tom Cruise's goose, so... we're just throwing that out there. Continuing on to a different film, a very different genre as well. Just leave it at that.
Not saying anything.
Thelma and Louise, 1991. Yes. This is the...
Come on, Spencer, let's drive off the cliff together.
This is the female empowerment film starring
Gina Davis,
Susan Sarandon.
Yes,
about two ladies who they kill a rapist and then go on the lam, basically.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, the rapist played by Brad Pitt.
You know, he had to do something with his free time, right?
Whoa.
No, just joking. No, this is one of those, like, villainous Brad Pitt kind of roles, and this is pretty close. I mean, a few years before 12 Monkeys, strangely enough. So think of those early days of Brad Pitt. He was a really different actor. California in there as well.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, not such a good guy in the early days.
That's why we like him now.
Yeah. But yeah, this is about two women who really have, I mean, I guess platonic love.
Yeah. They're friends. They're put through a horrible situation.
But they really are just real friends through and through. And it's sort of like, you know, it's a plot line that has been done before with men, you know, two guys who go to the ends for each other. And it was really interesting to do it with female leads. Really sort of ahead of the time. In 91,
it's crazy to think that Ridley Scott directed this. Like, I don't piece that together in my head. That one just feels out there. But it's so good that I don't blame him or anything for it.
No, got nominated for Best Director, no less. One of the three times he's been nominated. Sadly, won none of them. Yeah, first time actually it was nominated.
Oh, wow.
This, believe it or not. Not for Alien, not for Blade Runner, not for any of that stuff.
I can kind of believe that, though.
But one of the also interesting facts about this is this has got to be one of the few times you have two lead actresses both nominated for Best Actress in the film.
Really?
Both Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon were nominated for Best Actress for this film.
They do a great job.
And that probably killed both their chances of winning it. I mean,
yeah, probably, because I didn't want to pick one over the other.
Let's split the vote, you know. So, I mean, it was nominated for, like, let's see, It won Best Writing. It was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other Academy Awards in addition to that. I mean, it's such a different film. I mean, this is a true-on dramatic film versus, sci-fi or fantasy, which he had done before. So Ridley Scott has not been afraid to venture between genres. And this has got to be one of the most signature end sequences of arguably any of his films. I mean...
Yeah, that's like a pop culture icon moment. Is the end of film.
I remember
it's like
this.
Butch and Cassidy and Sundance Kid, right up there with that kind of ending.
I remember this as much as like Alien or any of those other films. I mean, I can't think of a Ridley Scott film I remember as much as this one. I mean, this is so famous.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing. Continuing on to his next. Opportunity to be nominated for Best Director, and that was Gladiator in the year 2000.
Yes.
This was, again, another dramatic change for him, doing a sword and sandals action yarn.
Sword and sandals, huh? That's nice. I like that term.
I didn't pioneer it.
I know, I'm just first time I've heard it.
You've never heard sword and sandals before? You've never heard that? Like, in terms of, like...
No. I mean, I know what obviously I can make all the connections. Troy, 300, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
But no,
I can't believe I just dropped that knowledge on you there.
There you go. But yes, Gladiator.
I mean, this is one of those films that I remember being in high school when it was coming out last year, or second to last year. And I remember arguing with my friends over whether we thought it was going to be good. And I was in the camp of, I thought it was going to be good. And they were in the camp of, they thought it was going to be cheesy.
Gotcha.
And
did you rub it in their faces when it was done?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dude, do you know me? Yeah, this is like the moment this is
the moment Russell Crowe became
a star. I mean, he won Best Actor.
Wow.
The film won Best Picture.
Wow.
Sadly, I mean, Ridley Scott did not get an Academy Award for that. It won Best Costumes, Best Sound, Best Sound Effects, or Best Visual Effects, sorry. It was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Writing, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Music, Best Direction, Art Direction. It was like a 10 Academy Award nominated, or 10
Crazy.
categories. It made $456 million, which probably is up there in terms of his most successful film ever, if not his most successful film ever. It is such an interesting, powerful story in terms of a guy who is beaten down and then comes back for revenge, his family is murdered, who becomes a martyr ultimately. It's a really powerful film. And
Joaquin Phoenix is the Emperor. Such a amazing role for him. Yeah.
Such an evil guy.
Downvoting Roman.
Oof. Yeah, Romans. Gotta love the Romans. Like the gladiator battles of Roman year, or I don't know what you want to call it. Era. Are so like notable. So it's such a famous concept to see it played out here as well as ever. I mean, it's one of the best examples of it ever occurring.
Because this is before episode 2. Yes, this is like the crazy high budget gladiator pit battle. This is,
Well, there's what's that classic.
No, I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, but I mean in the new era of like half CG, half gigantic sets.
Yeah,
this was the really big budget gladiator pit fights. The lions or tigers. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's a great example of it.
Great fights too.
Won Best Picture. I think he deserves at least a little bit of credit for that.
Definitely.
But sadly, he was not up on stage getting that Academy Award.
Tier.
Yeah. One nominated for Best Director though, number 2.
Okay.
Moving on. 1 year later, nominated again. Black Hawk Down.
3 nominations in that many years, no wins. Come on, Academy. What is wrong with you?
He deserves it one of these days.
Black Hawk Down. Oh man.
Based on a true story. I guess kind of you could argue that about Gladiator.
Going into the American War section or time frame. Right?
And this is. I don't know if it's an official war though. This is the battle in
conflict. Yeah, Somalia.
Of the U.S. elite soldiers who go there, sort of to help once a Black Hawk helicopter is shot down. And it's sort of like They're kind of keeping peace, or sort of keeping the
like a
check
military
with the
installment over there.
the warlords that are sort of existing over there.
Yes.
Then a Black Hawk helicopter gets shot down. Everything sort of chaos ensues, and 123, I believe, 123 elite soldiers are sent in to sort of rescue them and destroy the helicopter.
Really great film. One of the better Josh Hartnett roles, in my opinion.
I mean, everyone involved. One of the better Eric Bana roles. One of the better Ewan McGregor roles. Like, everyone involved was really on their ball.
When I first saw this, it was like I have a friend who was like, "You haven't seen Black Hawk Down? Like, what is wrong with you?" And he's like, sat down in front of his very large TV with his very large and good surround sound system, and just blew my mind.
It's an amazing story. Like, it really, I don't think it gets enough due. Like, it was a modest success.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, maybe broke even at the theatrical.
So great.
It's, I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe it's not as epic in terms of war enough. It's really a small elite group
dealing with a better cause, though.
Yeah, probably. But it's also sort of one of those things where it's sort of, American soldiers aren't really painted. I mean, they're all sort of fighting for each other, which I think is a beautiful thing. But it's not our war. We didn't really want to get involved with the conflict that was going on there. It's sort of a self-serving sort of.
I just think the fact that's based on a true story.
It's a great. I mean, it's a fascinating story. Fascinating story.
Yeah, it's great.
The writer of it, who was it? Mark Jacobson, who wrote the article about the thing, also wrote a lot about Pablo Escobar, and I think they're making a film based upon his work there, which could be interesting if you're interested in that. But again, sort of going to a different era for Ridley Scott, going to like a modern war as opposed to like classic sort of
Roman,
so keeping it interesting. Going back in time as well, again, true story. We're going to talk about American Gangster.
Russell Crowe
got into a very big Russell Crowe vibe there with this, and then Robin Hood afterwards. Hard to blame him since he won the Best Actor award for Gladiator. And he's a very talented actor, don't get me wrong.
It's just that,
American Gangster is a story of sort of the rise of Frank Lucas and his drug empire in Harlem or Manhattan. And the rise of the heroin trade, I believe it was.
I think so.
Heroin. And the cop who attempts to take him down and the corrupt cops that are working with him.
Now, we talked about this a little with Denzel Washington, right? Yes. And so I still agree with your overall prognosis of this film.
Well, it's funny to me because I, in my mind, have this, much like Legend and Labyrinth, I have this intertwined with Catch Me If You Can. Because they're
interesting.
Sort of in the same time frame, maybe 4 or 5 years apart. I think Catch Me If You Can was 2002. But they're both based on true stories. They're both about,
cat and mouse.
Cat and mouse. And they ultimately end with the cat and mouse working together for a different problem altogether. And Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio's character was largely misguided and harmless in his actions. Frank Lucas freaking murdered someone on the street in the movie. And his drug trade ruined the lives of thousands, if not more than that, people.
That's unfortunately, and this is something I've revisited since, not the movie, but this argument since we last spoke about it. I thought about it again, and the thing is that unfortunately that happens a lot in the American legal system, where...
Oh, sorry, quick correction. Mark Bowden was the guy who wrote Black Hawk Down. Mark Jacobson was the one who wrote Return of Superfly, which this was based on. American Gangster, not their own. Yes. Sorry, you revisit this argument?
Yes, no, and I just think that unfortunately that's the thing that happens a lot in the American legal system now, is that you basically, as much as it sucks, you take the criminal who's willing to flip, and you get them to get more and bigger criminals, and that happens so often, no matter how horrible and villainous the person is.
Police corruption is terrible.
And the fact that it's based on reality, I mean,
police corruption is terrible, terrible thing. Fighting police corruption, great thing, but is it worse to have corrupt police or a guy who murders and sells drugs?
It depends on what you're getting out. I mean, it depends on...
He is the head of the organization. No, I don't know who he could possibly give you.
I'm saying it depends on what in general, the justice system feels they're getting out of his cooperation.
I feel like it's more of their willingness or what they can prove as much as what they're getting out of it.
Well, yeah,
and
of course, that's part of what they're getting out of it. Is stuff
I feel
that
like
can be
it's so. In this
proved.
case, it's so weak to me.
No,
Like,
I agree that I don't like it, but the fact that it's based on reality, and sadly that happens probably more than we care to admit, is a rebuttal for the actual story's fault. For the story's sake, I still think that it's handled in an awkward.
I think it's terrible. Like I can't get over the fact that he murdered people, and he basically gets away with it, and then he becomes friends with Russell Crowe, and it ends happily thereafter. Like that just. I'm sorry. Like maybe if he didn't shoot somebody during the movie in the head on the street, and everybody like saw it, like. Maybe I'd be a little bit more willing to deal.
My morality is a little bit grayer, Spencer. So there's
Leonardo DiCaprio did not shoot somebody.
White collar crime, still bad.
Still bad. This is not so white collar. I'm sorry. That brings us to this Friday, June 8th, Prometheus, the return to sci-fi for Ridley Scott. You know, Blade Runner, Alien, not too shabby in that regard before.
Screenplay written by Damon Lindelof.
Yes, he was one of the people involved with that.
Of Lost fame.
And was it Cowboys and Aliens last year?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he was.
It's also got a great cast. I mean, you got
huge
Idris
cast.
Elba, Charlize Theron, who we spoke about last week, Michael Fassbender, Noomi Ramplas, Guy Pearce. You know, it's an amazing group of people. It's about a team of explorers who discover clues to the origins of mankind, leading them on a journey to the darkest corners of the universe. There they must fight a terrifying battle to save the future of the human race.
Oh, yeah.
Originally, this was sort of explained to be a prequel to Alien. Since then, they've sort of backed off of that.
They've kind of shoved it into, it's in the same reality, but not necessarily directly connected.
Yes.
I think is the statement.
But, I mean, one of the biggest marketing campaigns thus far this year, unfortunately, possibly revealed a little too much during their trailers.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. It really depends on, how much of an Alien style movie is knowing what's going to happen, and how much of it is getting your ass scared off by facehuggers.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm curious to say how connected it is to the Alien universe.
And that's the thing, is no matter how much we may have seen in the trailers, we've never seen any of the aliens they're fighting or dealing with.
Or
so
not
there could
fighting.
Yeah, so for all we know, there could be none, or there could be tons, and that's the whole big thing between Alien and Aliens. Alien, one, barely see it. Aliens, full of them. I mean,
it's just hard for me to imagine this film being bad. I mean, I love Ridley Scott, great director. I mean, American Gangster notwithstanding. I won't blame him for that, just the story. Damon Lindelof, very interesting talented guy, showrunner on Lost for many, many years. Very creative, thoughtful guy, very good with the mysteries and whatnot. And, the cast, like, I look at those, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people we mentioned, and I don't really see a weak link amongst them. I mean, I guess you could theoretically misuse them.
yeah.
But I find it hard to believe.
Idris Elba's weird accent, as far as we've gathered from the trailers.
I mean, I'm more thinking of like Charlize Theron in Reindeer Games. But Idris Elba has done some stuff like The Loser, so isn't that perfect either. I'm hoping more Wire, less The Loser.
Yes.
But I have the utmost faith in this project. I mean, this is probably one of the top 5 most anticipated films of the year. I can't think of another film before The Dark Knight Rises that would be a clear challenger to it.
Already out, yeah.
I mean, it seems like it could have several weeks straight there that it could dominate the box office.
I would agree with that.
I think it looks like it's prone to big, great success, as Borat would say. But let us know your thoughts about this. And next week, join us for episode 159, our DVD rundown for June 12th. And you can give us our feedback at MacGuffinPodcast.com, Twitter.com/MacGuffinCast, Facebook.com/MacGuffinPodcast, phone number 323-761-9842. Check us out on iTunes, Blip,
Please.
Miro, Roku. Check in at Get Glue, and we will see you next time. Ciao.
T-1000 can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Magneto can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Even Zod can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. It's tight, don't even try to bite the side of style. Mr. Spock can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Wrath of Khan can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Borg can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Because I've got space game and it feels alright.